The veteran MP has lost the Labour whip over a letter she wrote to a newspaper about racism, which she has since apologised for and distanced herself from. Sir Keir Starmer is facing calls to expel Diane Abbott from Labour after she sparked a backlash over claims Jewish people do not face racism. The veteran MP was stripped of the whip yesterday following her letter to the Observer newspaper, meaning she will sit as an independent MP in the Commons, but the Labour leader, who has taken a tough stance on anti-Semitism to move the party on from his predecessor Jeremy Corbyn, is facing calls for go further and permanently kick the Hackney North and Stoke Newington MP out of the party. The move would block Ms Abbott, who served as Mr Corbyn's shadow Home Secretary, from standing for Labour at the next general election. In her letter, Ms Abbott suggested Jews only suffer prejudice similar to that of people with red hair and are not subject to racism all their lives. Following a backlash, she issued an apology and blamed it on the letter being an initial draft. But a shadow minister told The Sun, "There is surely no way back for her, it's time to kick her out for good." A spokesman for the campaign against anti-Semitism added, "Her suspension now is past time and must be the first step towards her expulsion." Meanwhile, Lord Mann, an independent advisor to the government on anti-Semitism, said Ms Abbott had only given half of an apology and urged her to step down at the next election. He told Sky News, "The best thing she can do is say she's going to stand down at the next general election." In her letter, Ms Abbott, who made history as the first black woman MP, responded to a comment piece which suggested that Irish, Jewish and traveller people all suffer from racism in the UK. She said, "Tomawa Owalade claims that Irish, Jewish and traveller people all suffer from racism. They undoubtedly experience prejudice. This is similar to racism and It is true that many types of white people with points of difference, such as redheads, can experience this prejudice. But they are not all their lives subject to racism. In pre-civil rights America, Irish people, Jewish people and travelers were not required to sit at the back of the bus. In apartheid South Africa, these groups were allowed to vote, and at the height of slavery, there were no white-seeming people manacled on the slave ships." But her remarks prompted widespread condemnation, with Labour frontbencher Jonathan Ashworth branding them deeply offensive, and Cabinet Minister Grant Shapps accusing Ms Abbott of casually spouting hateful anti-Semitism. Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury Pat McFadden this morning told BBC Breakfast Labour had no choice but to suspend the whip from Ms Abbott. Ms Abbott swiftly apologised when the row erupted yesterday and distanced herself from the remarks. She said, "I am writing regarding my letter that was recently published in The Observer. I wish to wholly and unreservedly withdraw my written remarks and disassociate myself from them. The errors arose in an initial draft being sent. But there is no excuse and I wish to apologise for any anguish caused. Racism takes many forms and it is completely undeniable that Jewish people have suffered its monstrous effects, as have Irish people, travellers and many others. Once again, I would like to apologise publicly for the remarks and any distress caused as a result of them," a Labour spokesman said. The Labour Party completely condemns these comments, which are deeply offensive and wrong.